And that's the thing, it wasn't his name. In fact, it was the name of a real person. That real person is the notorious former drug lord Freeway Rick Ross. Freeway is known for his 1980s drug empire that dominated LA for years.
When the streets had that kind of love for you, the rappers find out. You know, they're some of the first people to find out about that, and he took it and he capitalized on it.
And so this is like, I think he only talked about 3 rappers, Rick Ross, Tigger, and Plies. And basically, he's basically gonna expose these rappers for like basically having like a fake lifestyle. You feel me? Just acting like a fake lifestyle. Basically, you know, they was rapping about shit they ain't really lived and shit. They're just artificial, you know.
Rick Ross has created a career that many young aspiring rappers could only dream of. He has 11 studio albums and has featured on countless songs, many of which make up his most popular work. Recently, many people have seen him going viral for having a
That's all he do, man. I be passing by Rick Ross' house sometimes, bro. He has a big ass he has hella land in his house. But this guy, you always see Rick Ross flexing. That's all he be doing nowadays.
Armor through his very recent involvement with Drake. Bottom line is, Ross has been in the game for a while. He's never had a super hard image per se, but he has alluded to having a tougher life. Like on the song I'm So Hood, when he says, "Snitching ain't gonna cut no time, I'll murder one of you, rob you for your last, then off come the mask."
We all know damn well Rick Ross ain't doing none of that now.
And he has plenty of other songs where he alludes to selling drugs and things along those lines. But somehow, even with all of his accolades, Rick Ross has managed to become known as one of the biggest liars in the game. And to understand how, we gotta look more into his come up. In 1967, Rick Ross was born in Clarksdale, Mississippi. He didn't live there long though, as he eventually moved to Carol City in Miami. Unlike where Ross was born, Carol City had a much
I don't know if you guys know, but they tried to kill Rick Ross in Miami, bro. He got shot up in his Rolls Royce and he crashed, he almost died. That's just a quick little side note for you guys. If he don't talk about it, I'm gonna look it up, but I'm gonna continue.
Population of around 60,000 people and deals with a lot of problems that come with living in a bigger city. For Ross, these problems showed themselves in the visible crime and poverty in his area that would begin to spark interest in the lifestyle he would portray in his music. The Miami lifestyle seemed to influence Rick Ross's persona, along with the show Miami Vice, which he claims to be a big fan of. While growing up, Ross himself mostly kept on the straight and narrow path, but regardless, at some level he was influenced by his environment. Instead of making money in the common ways that many around him did, and in a way he would go on to rap about, Rick Ross worked at a car wash making about $30 a day. While working at the car wash, he saw a lot of expensive cars owned by a bunch of different types of people like millionaires, dealers, businessmen, and people like that, and he said he was very inspired by them. So even though he was inspired early to make some money, his steps toward becoming those he looked up to would not begin yet. Instead, he went to college. This is where things start to get a little shaky.
Rick Ross went to college? I know he was a correctional officer. Everybody know he was a correctional officer, but I didn't know he went to college. Nah, I know a lot of rappers went to fucking college, bro, which is crazy to me because you would have thought, like, the shit people be rapping about, like, you thought everybody would have been dropouts.
Shaky for Rick Ross's image, and a reason why many call him a liar. You may be thinking, with the things Ross raps about, it's a little odd to think he was a man interested in furthered education. Well, the world seemed to agree, as they discovered he not only got a football scholarship to attend Albany State, but also was studying to become none other than a criminal justice major. Quite the opposite of what he rapped about living. To be fair though, he did drop out.
You heard that? You hear that? He said he was going to be a criminal justice major. Now let me go back. Let me go back to what he said. Where did he say it at? Where did he say it at? What he gonna do? What he said he was gonna do if you was snitch? What he say? What he just said? He said Rick Ross finna be a criminal justice major. That means he was gonna be a lawyer or a prosecutor. Snitching ain't gonna cut no time. I'll murder one of you F ninjas. Rob you for your Let me continue. Let me continue, bro.
TMZ adjacent website called about living. To be fair though, he did drop out after his first year. But what followed his dropping out would only add on to the credibility issues that he would later come to face. Because after he left Albany State at 19, he began working as a correctional officer at a South Florida prison. Well, his time there only lasted 18 months, which to me still feels pretty long in contrast with the things he raps about. The job was no joke and not a position that you could just start a day after signing.
So he was a CO. I ain't gonna lie though. COs, like, they kind of gangster too, bro. Like, I done been in jail and shit, and the COs in jail, they kind of gangster too. I remember, like, when I was in jail, like some of the inmates would be calling the COs police, and I still be like, I ain't no damn police. Like that, they'll get offended when you call them police. You feel me? They'll be like, I ain't no goddamn, cause I don't care. Like COs really do be keeping the P, bruh. A lot of the reason why people be having shit in the jail, you feel me? Like having, you saying, it's because of the COs, bro. Like the COs really be looking out. Not gonna lie, so like, can't really call. I ain't really gonna say Rick Ross is the police or lame as hell or fake or none of that because he was CO, bro. Because you don't know what he was doing when he was a CO, bro. He probably was that guy in the jail, you know, being the CO, which got him respect, you know.
To secure that position, Mr. Rose would have to go through a Department of Corrections training academy that required 540 hours of instruction. That's over 20 days in training, so he was clearly committed. The CO portion of Rick Ross's life was discovered in 2008 during his early popularity. A photograph was released by a TMZ adjacent website called The Smoking Gun that depicts a younger Rick Ross in uniform while working at the prison. After getting exposed, for years he would just deny the validity of the picture, making outrageous claims, like saying that it was photoshopped. In countless interviews, he would be drilled on the topic, and
he tried to lie about it. Rick Ross tried to lie about being a CO, bro.
Every single time he would either deny it or derail the entire conversation.
Trick Daddy recently accused you of working as a prison guard at one point, Rick. Is there any truth to that?
No, that's not true. But that's disappointing to hear that he said that. He said that?
That's what the question said, yeah.
Eventually, though, he admitted it, saying it was just a way to make money and that he was just using the job as a way to understand the other side of the drug dealing world.
You know what I mean? So we all did a lot of different things to put us all in position. In position, right. And it's not the obvious. So if Rick Ross did work at one of these places, it wasn't for the obvious reasons. Right. You know, it's a lot of gold mines around people's faces that people really don't know how to take advantage of. So yeah, me and, you know, we did what we do. You know what I mean?
This clip was taken from like 2 whole minutes of him beating around the bush, claiming that he
Alright, now y'all tell me what y'all think. Y'all think he like, I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, like, about him being a CEO or not and giving a fuck about what the hell it don't matter because he rich as fuck at the end of the day. He still made hits and all that shit. But it's like, do you think like it's cool to be claiming all this gangster shit when you was a CEO? But like I said, there is gangster ass CEOs, bro. I ain't gonna lie, there's a lot of gangster ass police officers. I live in Atlanta, bro, and I lived in Atlanta my whole life. And I'm telling you right now, bro, the police in Atlanta more gangster than the gangster down the street, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Them police officers, bro, like they keep it P. They police, but they not police. I'm letting you know right now.
He basically got the job just to get in with the people who were locked up. Eventually, though, he got to the point where he was comfortable enough to just straight up admit it.
So were you a correctional officer at one point?
I was, yeah.
So going all the way back, when was that? How long ago?
Maybe when I was 20.
20 years old.
Yeah.
Since his college major was criminal justice, it didn't seem like his real goal was to become a double agent, but who knows? After that, Ross considered working as a firefighter, but decided to work in construction so he could spend more time following his dream of making music. DeBoss's start in music was under the name Teflon Don. After getting some traction in the music industry and making some connections, including a significant friendship with our boy DJ Khaled, in the mid-2000s he changed his name to Rick Ross. And this is another point in his career that would cause many to call him a liar, all because of his name. If you don't know a lot about the situation, you may wonder what's so bad about his name, and that's the thing. It wasn't his name. In fact, it was the name of a real person. That real person is the notorious former drug lord Freeway Rick Ross, or Freeway Ricky, or whatever else you want to call him. Freeway is known for his 1980s drug empire that dominated LA for years, and eventually led to his sentence of life in prison, ended with a successful appeal that freed him in 2009.
Freeway Ricky released from prison. Damn, I never heard about this guy.
And he wasn't some random dealer either, because Freeway once boasted that his empire was so large they were making $1 million a day. This was in the 80s, so if you adjust for inflation, that is almost $5 million of today's money coming in every day. He's so big, in fact, that many say he's a major influence for the popular FX show Snowfall, specifically the protagonist Franklin Saint. And despite how extremely popular Freeway Rick Ross was, Teflon Don still decided to pretty much copy his name.
When the streets had that kind of love for you, the rappers find out. You know, they're some of the first people to find out about that, and he took it and he capitalized on it.
To be fair, Ross did grow up around a lot of similar things that Freeway was partaking in, but the key word is grew up around. He was never doing it like Freeway, as he has claimed in many songs.
So there's a real Rick Ross. So Rick Ross, the rapper, the one everybody knows, is a fake version of the real one. That's crazy.
This realization was made by the public. Many people were upset again that Ross had seemingly lied about his past. And not only was the public upset, but Freeway himself, after being released from prison, decided to sue Rick Ross and WMG for stealing his name as well as his image.
I'd hit him when we was in jail. We talked, and he was supposed to come and see me, and he never did. I wasn't really tripping about that. I got out, started doing my own thing. This lawyer came to me and said, man, Universal owe you $50 million.
Damn.
I said, go get it.
Hey, you talking about go get that shit, 50 mil? Shit me.
Yeah.
Just like that. That's all it was.
But while Freeway and the public's frustration was reasonable, the court inevitably threw the case out in favor of Rick Ross based on a First Amendment ruling. Ironically enough, this lawsuit was one of Rick Ross's first encounters with the law. The frustration was reasonable. The court inevitably threw the case out in favor of Rick Ross based on a First Amendment ruling. Ironically enough, this lawsuit was one of Rick Ross's first encounters with the law.
Damn, you heard that? That's kind of crazy, cause that's kind of fucked up, bro. Like Rick Ross stole stole a notorious drug dealer's name, and the drug dealer tried to sue him, right? But you feel me? Rick Ross could have broke him off, bro, cause Rick Ross wouldn't be Rick Ross if it wasn't for that name, bro. You feel me? He kind of stole his fucking his lifestyle for real, bro, and like he said, bro, Rick Ross ain't never been in trouble with the law until this time where he was about to get sued. I'll read a little bit of this. As Ross' notoriety grew, thanks to his lyrics about drug dealing and hustling, his past career in law enforcement began to interest the public too. It was an intriguing contradiction that first came to light in 2008 when a website known as The Smoking Gun exposed Ross as having previously worked as a correctional officer in South Florida. Although this raised doubts about Ross' street credibility, the rapper brushed them aside. He has had other issues to deal with, including facing charges for weapons, drug kidnapping, and assault. He spent a large part of 2015 under house arrest. Wait, I didn't know he was on house arrest? The original Freeway Rick Ross attempted to sue Ross for using his name in 2010, but it was thrown out of court. Then there was a feud with fellow rapper 50 Cent, which began in 2008. By the following year, 50 had taken to call Ross Officer Ricky. Bro, 50 Cent funny as hell, bro. He got jokes. The beef turned uglier still when 50 realized a sex tape featuring, the mother of one of Rick Ross' children. Oh, shit. Oh, Rick Ross 50 Cent had a fucking sex tape with one of Rick Ross's baby mamas. The eventual court case, which Livingston would win, would partly responsible for 50.
He did have a few minor charges here and there, but nothing like Freeway Ricky. All of it came after his breakthrough success, and none of it corroborates anything close to the detailed Miami cocaine cowboy lifestyle he raps about. As his lie-filled past seeped out into the public, it got around to 50 Cent, who after getting into some type of beef with him, claimed that the drive-by shooting Ross was involved in 2013 was staged. While there's no solid evidence for that being the case, it appeared to be believable enough at the time for 50 to use it as a shot at Rick Ross because of his tattered credibility. Ironically, the beef between 50 and Ross allegedly started when 50 gave Ross a disgusting look at the BET Awards. It then escalated to some back and forth diss tracks in which 50 coined the popular nickname for Ross, Officer Ricky, alluding to his CO past. And it seemed like a lot of the issues that 50 had with Ricky Rose was his fake image. 50 is known for having countless different beefs and pursuing them to a level like no other, and Ross's lies were plenty of ammunition for 50 to take advantage of. In this case, 50 took more of a creative approach in his public dismantling of DeBoss through a short cartoon series titled Officer Ricky.
Officer Rick, damn Rick, why you got me up in this man? Is it because I said you and your mama look like the Clumps? Well, y'all is some ugly mother.
So clearly Ross had a lot of lies throughout his career. But it's important to note that even if Ross did lie, he obviously did a few things right, as he is now one of the most successful rappers as well as entrepreneurs in the game. And now if you see anyone during this Drake beef making fun of him, calling him a correctional officer or the police or something like that, now you know why. And just because Ricky Rose is a liar doesn't mean that his songs aren't still good.